Retail headquarters gleamed in the morning sun, 50 stories of glass and steel reaching into the Chicago skyline. I stood in my brother Mark's new office, formerly our father's office, and tried to keep my expression neutral as he delivered the news of my termination. My name is Sarah Anderson, and at 33, I had just watched my family's legacy, my life's work, and my revolutionary retail management system be stolen by my own brother. It's nothing personal, Sarah, Mark said, leaning back in Dad's leather chair, the same chair where our father had sat 6 months ago, before his stroke, telling me how proud he was of my innovations. The board feels the company needs stronger leadership in the tech division. I glanced at the digital clock on his desk, 9:47 a.m. In exactly 24 hours, he would be presenting his new retail management system to the board. The system I'd spent 3 years developing. The system that could revolutionize how major retailers handle everything from inventory to customer data. Of course, I said mildly, I understand completely. Mark's smile faltered slightly. He'd expected tears, protests, maybe even threats. After all, I was the emotional one in the family, according to him. The one who cared too much about employees, who wanted to revolutionize retail for more than just profit. Security will escort you to clear out your office, he continued, regaining his composure. Standard procedure, you understand. We wouldn't want any sensitive information leaving the building. I thought about the small camera hidden in my office plant, the one that had been recording his late-night meetings for the past 3 months. The midnight conversations with board members, the promises of increased profits if they supported his takeover, the methodical way he planned to steal my work and push me out. Of course not, I agreed. Though I'm sure you've already secured all the important files. Everything related to the new system is safely under company control, he said smugly. Your personal access has been revoked. He meant the official servers, the documented development files. What he didn't know about was the hidden backend I built into the system, the fail-safes I'd implemented when I first noticed files being copied late at night. Congratulations on the presentation tomorrow, I said, standing up. I'm sure the board will be very impressed. They will be, he said, then added with fake sympathy, I know this is hard, but you'll land on your feet. Maybe a smaller company would be more your speed. Somewhere less demanding. I shouldered my bag, thinking about the encrypted drive in my apartment containing footage of every meeting where he plotted this takeover. You're probably right. Anderson Retail might be too big for someone like me. The security guard, Jim, who'd watched me grow up in this building, gave me an apologetic look as he escorted me to my office. This isn't right, Miss Sarah, he muttered. It's okay, Jim, I said as I began packing my personal items. Everything happens for a reason. My office overlooked Michigan Avenue, the same view I'd had since joining the company fresh out of MIT. While the security guard wasn't looking, I quickly retrieved the hidden camera from the Peace Lily, Dad's gift when I was promoted to head of technology 3 years ago. Need help with those boxes, Miss Sarah? Jim asked as I finished packing. No thanks, Jim, but could you do me a favor? Could you make sure my plant gets a good home? Maybe in the security office? It needs water every 3 days. Jim nodded, understanding in his eyes. He'd been here 30 years, had seen the way things had changed since Dad's stroke. I'll take good care of it, he promised. In the elevator, I checked my phone. 3 messages from Lisa, my lead developer. They're locking us out of the system. Mark's team is taking over everything. What do we do? I typed back, stick to the plan. See you at the usual place tonight. The lobby was busy with morning traffic, employees hurrying to their offices, unaware that the company they worked for was about to change forever. Janet, the receptionist who'd given me candy when I visited Dad as a child, wiped away tears as I handed in my security badge. This isn't what your father would have wanted, she whispered. I know, I said. But sometimes things have to break before they can be fixed properly. Outside, Chicago's spring air was crisp and full of promise. I walked to the corner where my car was parked, placed my box of belongings in the trunk, and pulled out my other phone, the secure one that even Mark didn't know about. A text from my contact at the SEC. Documentation received. Extremely interesting reading. Meeting still on for 3 p.m. Confirmed, I replied, bringing additional evidence. That evening, I sat in my apartment reviewing the video footage from the hidden camera. Mark's face glowed with triumph as he outlined his plan to various board members. Sarah's too soft for this business. The system needs a stronger hand. Think of the profit margins if we implement it my way. Of course, I developed the core concepts. I just let her handle the technical details. My laptop pinged, an alert from the hidden backend I built into the system. Mark's team was trying to modify the source code, probably removing my digital fingerprints. Little did they know that every change they made was being logged, every attempt to alter the documentation creating an unalterable record of their tampering. My phone buzzed. Lisa calling. Everyone's in position, she reported. The team is ready. But Sarah, are you sure about this? Once we do this. There's no going back, I finished. I know, but Mark left us no choice. He's not just stealing my work. He's planning to turn the system into something it was never meant to be. Something that would hurt thousands of employees, millions of customers. Your father would be proud, Lisa said quietly. I looked at the photo on my wall. Dad and me at my MIT graduation, his face beaming with pride. He'd built Anderson Retail from a single store into a national chain, but he'd never lost sight of what mattered. The people who made it work. Tomorrow's going to be interesting, I said. Make sure everyone's ready. After hanging up, I walked to my home office and opened the hidden wall safe. Inside was the evidence I'd been gathering for months. Financial records showing Mark's manipulation of company funds, documentation of his secret meetings with competitors, and most importantly, the original development logs of my retail management system. I pulled out Dad's letter, the one he'd written just before his stroke, the one Mark didn't know existed. Tomorrow, its contents would change everything. The next morning, I dressed carefully in my best suit, the one Dad had bought me when I became head of technology. As I fastened my mother's pearl necklace, I thought about legacy, about responsibility, about the right way to run a business. My phone buzzed. Board meeting starts in 1 hour. Everything is in place. I smiled at my reflection. Mark thought he'd won, thought he'd successfully stolen everything I'd built. He had no idea that his moment of triumph was about to become something very different. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's letting your enemies present their own lies to the very people they're trying to deceive. I grabbed my laptop and headed for the door. It was time to show my brother exactly who he'd underestimated. Anderson Retail's main conference room was packed with board members, executives, and major shareholders. I slipped in quietly just as Mark began his presentation, taking a seat at the back where my brother's triumph would have the perfect view of its own undoing. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark began, standing at the head of the long table in an expertly tailored suit. Today marks a new era for Anderson Retail. What I'm about to show you will revolutionize not just our company, but the entire retail industry. I opened my laptop silently, connecting to the room's wireless network. Lisa's text appeared. Backend access confirmed. Ready when you are. This retail management system, Mark continued, clicking to his first slide, represents thousands of hours of development, a seamless integration of inventory management, customer data, and predictive analytics. My fingers moved across the keyboard, accessing the hidden protocols I built into the system. On the screen behind Mark, his presentation continued flawlessly. He had no idea that every click was being logged, every demonstration creating an unalterable record. The potential for profit maximization is unprecedented, he said, warming to his theme. By implementing aggressive data collection and dynamic pricing, we can increase margins by up to 40%. Several board members nodded approvingly. They didn't understand that what Mark was proposing would turn my system, designed to balance efficiency with ethical business practices, into a tool for exploiting both employees and customers. Question, called out Janet Chen, one of the newer board members. The privacy implications of this level of data collection are completely manageable, Mark interrupted smoothly. The technical details aren't important right now. What matters is the bottom line. I pressed enter. On my screen, a message flashed. Original documentation uploaded. Timestamp development logs active. Let me demonstrate the system's capabilities, Mark said, turning to the main display. He clicked confidently, expecting to show a carefully curated demo. Instead, the screen shifted to show side-by-side comparisons. The original ethical design specifications I'd developed, next to Mark's modified versions showing how he planned to exploit the system. What? Mark clicked frantically, but the presentation was no longer under his control. Interesting modifications, I said, standing up. All heads turned, especially the parts where you removed all the employee protection protocols and customer privacy safeguards. There must be a technical glitch, Mark stammered. Security. They can't help, I said calmly. The system is responding exactly as it was designed to, by me, its original creator. The room erupted in murmurs. I walked to the front, each step measured and confident. Board members of Anderson Retail, I began, what my brother has shown you is a corrupted version of a system I spent 3 years developing. A system designed to modernize retail while protecting the rights of employees and customers. A system our father approved and supported. She's lying, Mark snapped. I developed. Really? I pressed another key. The hidden camera footage began playing. Mark in late-night meetings, plotting his takeover, admitting to stealing my work. That's illegal surveillance, he sputtered. Actually, said a new voice from the doorway, it's evidence in a federal investigation. Special Agent Sarah Torres from the SEC stepped into the room, followed by 2 colleagues. Mark Anderson, we have some questions about certain financial transactions related to this software development. Mark's face went from red to white. This is ridiculous. I am the CEO. According to company bylaws, interrupted Howard Chen, the head of the board's legal committee, your interim CEO, pending review after your father's recovery. He held up a document, a recovery that, according to his doctors, has progressed significantly. In fact, we received this letter from him this morning. I smiled, remembering Dad's face when I visited him at the rehabilitation center last week, showing him the evidence of Mark's betrayal. His hand had been steady as he'd signed the letter revoking Mark's interim authority. The original system documentation, I said, distributing tablets to the board members, shows exactly how the development proceeded. You'll also find evidence of how Mark attempted to modify it for unethical purposes, along with records of his financial misconduct. The board members scrolled through the documents, their expressions darkening. Mark looked around wildly, finding no allies. You don't understand, he tried. The profit potential is substantial even without exploiting people, I cut in. The system as originally designed would increase efficiency by 30% while improving employee satisfaction and customer loyalty. I have 3 years of test data proving it. Which is why, Howard Chen said, the board will be calling an emergency session to review leadership of both the company and this project. The next hour was a blur of SEC interviews, board discussions, and security escorting Mark from the building. I sat in Dad's office, Mark's office for such a short time, looking at the city sprawl below. Miss Sarah. Jim the security guard stood at the door. Your father's here. Dad walked in slowly, leaning on his cane, but his eyes were clear and sharp. I'd always knew, he said, settling into his old chair, that you were the one who truly understood this business. The way you built it, I said, not just for profit, but for people. He nodded. Mark never understood that. Success without ethics isn't success at all. The next few weeks were intense. The board unanimously voted to reinstate Dad as CEO, with me as Chief Technology Officer and heir apparent. Mark faced SEC investigations and criminal charges. The system rollout proceeded as originally designed, earning praise from both industry analysts and workers' rights groups. 1 month after the board meeting, I sat in my new office, not Dad's, but one with an even better view of the city. Lisa knocked on the door. The first quarter results are in, she announced, grinning. Employee satisfaction up 42%. Customer retention improved by 35%. And profits, she paused dramatically, exceeded all projections. Send them to Mark, I said, in his new office. The Federal Investigation Office. He never understood. I said that doing the right thing could also be the profitable thing. Dad stopped by later that day, moving better now after months of rehabilitation. Your mother would be proud, he said, looking at her picture on my desk. She always said you had my head for business and her heart for people. I thought about legacy then, not just the buildings and profits, but the impact we have on lives. Mark had wanted to build an empire. I wanted to build something that mattered. Last week, I received an invitation to speak at a retail industry conference. The topic? Ethical innovation, the future of retail technology. I thought about Mark sitting in his prison cell after his conviction for fraud and corporate espionage and realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about building something so meaningful that their attempts to destroy it only make it stronger. The Anderson retail headquarters still gleams in the morning sun. But it's different now. Employees smile more. Customers praise our service. The board talks about ethics as much as profits. And every morning, when I walk through the lobby, Janet still offers me candy, just like she did when I was a little girl who dreamed of making her father proud. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in the moment of triumph, but in what you build after the battle is won. Mark tried to steal my work, but he could never steal my vision. Because true success isn't just about power or profit. It's about creating something that makes the world a little better than you found it. That's what Dad taught me. That's what I proved. And that's the real legacy I'll carry forward. The security camera footage from my office plant still sits in my safe, a reminder that sometimes the best defense against betrayal is simply letting people reveal their true nature. But I don't watch it anymore. I'm too busy building something better.